Rahubat, please say your name, where you're calling from, and then ask your question.
Rahubat. This is Kali Monk,
Rahubat,
and I'm
Kalimat.
calling from California.
Hey, what's happening? Cali in
Yes,
the
so
house.
I can feel it in my spirit and my soul that I'm called to gather people and to basically, without saying too much, rebuild this kingdom. You know what I mean? And my question is, I honestly, the only reason I'm still here in America because of the resources, but I definitely am planning on moving. What is the better option for me? Is it Africa? Because Africa is really far. I've been to Africa before. Central America is not so far, but I don't know about those governments over there. So what would you say is the best place to relocate once I'm done with down here?
All right. Because you started off saying about your calling, the best thing to do initially is to get with the local community where you're at, the closest one to you. If there isn't one close to you, then the nearest one. And then even online, you can join our online community, join our Telegram group, because ultimately we have a guide with us that knows and tells us where to go, when to go, how to go, etc., etc. So you have to work with us. But you've touched on a really good point, because what's going on in the world right now with the wars, with the new president in your country, etc., etc. Like, you can see tensions are very high, wars are going on. You see the war with, Ukraine and Russia. You see the Palestinian and the Israeli war. You're seeing a very risky time at the moment with the Arabs who can join in, if it escalates, and people are talking about world war, you know what I mean? So because of that, we follow and listen to the master teacher, because if you read the books, I explain, even in this book called Leviathan 666, the beast, right? 666, Leviathan the beast as the Antichrist and the 10 horns, which really goes into the day and time we're living in right now, as some people look at it as a prophecy. And it talks about the ending of New Babylon. And I think this week as well, Putin launched a couple of missiles. And so the tensions are great. So what I'm saying is, get into the nearest Wu-Sabat community. If you have a calling, you will then build a community and work together, and you will get to know, because not everything is going to be spoken of publicly. So that's the first step I would say for you to do, because the more you learn, the more you, like, for example, I mentioned reading the Nawapian Man, Patarak, which will give you the answers to your question, all right? And then we work together as one. Now, the part of your question that is someone else on the line. Okay, so let me just round this up. The part of your question that I really want to address is people in America who consider themselves African Americans. All right. There was a question asked in the group today, in fact, and I just want to touch it for others, that they don't consider themselves to be African, for example, because before the continental drift, people literally walked over from Africa to America, right? And these people were referred to as the newborns or the Olmecs, right? These are the Olmecs. They were indigenous people in America. And so they were on that side when the continental drift happened. So not everybody came by way of the kidnapping, which they call the slave trade. So those people in America have a right to claim that they're indigenous and are Americans. But the point is that when the gap between the two got so big that you couldn't walk across anymore, these Olmecs, they brought over like the rubber plant, which, that's another story. But the way you know that the continental drift took place, because some people dispute that as well, is if you go on the coasts of both sides, you will find the same trees, plants, and soil and everything on both sides. That gives you a clear indication that they were once together. But the point I'm really making is that these African Americans claim that they're not Africans, but you are not where you are at. Names of locations are not where you're from. You know, names like Jamaican, Trinidadian, it's about the DNA. Yeah, your DNA is from Africa, so you are African. People try to claim that they're American by way of the fact that they're in that land, but originally their DNA and everything comes from Africa. But yeah, we can go into more detail about that once you come onto the Telegram group.